Now, most of you may have heard the saying, you get what you pay for. Some of you may have heard the quote, price is what you pay, value is what you get. Now, both of these quotes are perfect descriptions for what we're going to talk about in today's video, which is the 5 worst hotels in Las Vegas or in the Las Vegas Strip vicinity. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, I know most people when planning a trip to Vegas, they'll go to their favorite travel website. They'll normally look for the flight and hotel package options. And then typically what they'll do is they'll click that search filter and they'll filter from least to high or low to high when it comes to the price options. And then sometimes might click the Las Vegas Strip and vicinity. So you can try to find the cheapest hotels on the Las Vegas Strip or in the Las Vegas Strip area. And in the hotels that we're going to talk about today, you'll probably see most, if not all of these in this top tier section when doing that filter, because these are some of the cheapest hotels on the Las Vegas Strip or in the Las Vegas Strip area. And by the end of this video, you might want to consider paying a little bit more for your trip if any of these hotels on the list are in your radar, unless you just don't have any other choice. So let's go ahead and take a dive into these horrendous hotels. At number 5, I have Tropicana Hotel and Casino. Now, just last year, the Tropicana was bought out by Bally's Corporation, not to be confused with the Bally's that's owned by Caesar's Palace, as their first Las Vegas property. And there was talks that they were going to rename the Tropicana to Bally's. Since the Bally's that's owned by Caesar's is under renovation, is getting ready to be changed to the Horseshoe, but that hasn't happened. They were also talking about recently destroying the whole hotel and just making it into a baseball stadium or having the land for some type of sporting event, which I don't think that'll happen either, but that just goes to show you how terrible and how unuseful this hotel is on the Las Vegas Strip. Imagine going to Vegas, you're being excited for your first trip, and then you get off the plane, you get your bags, you get to the hotel, and then once you walk up to it, you're like, oh, okay, it doesn't seem bad. And as soon as you walk through the doors of the hotel, you feel like you're walking through the metal detectors and you're now going up the ramp to a casino cruise. And then you look around and see everything and you realize it's a casino because you see the slot machines and the table games. But then you look up and then you wonder, are you looking up to see the next level of the different floors or a cruise? You just don't know what's going on. And then once you check in and then you have to go into your room, you've got to walk through the casino that looks like you're going on a party back to the 1990s. And then you walk all the way to the back just to get to the elevators. And then you get into your room. And then once you get into your room, you feel like you just checked into a 3-star hotel on a beach property. You've got this wood all around the rooms, and then you go to look out the window because you want to see what kind of view you got and realize you don't even have curtains. You have shutters on the windows. Who wants to go to Vegas and have this type of stay? If you don't want to stay at a hotel like that, might want to spend a little bit more money and just go next door to MGM Grand or across the street to New York, New York. But there are hotels worse than Tropicana. So let's move on to the next hotel. Now at the number 4 spot, I have Circus Circus. Now I know some of you are probably like, wait a minute, did you just say Circus Circus was the 4th worst hotel in Las Vegas? Because if you've been around this channel for a while, you know that I've always said it was either 1 or 2 of the worst hotels in Las Vegas until recently. It's still old. The clown Circus Circus theme looks like the clown show from the 70s. It doesn't look modern at all. The hotel has this dark, gloomy vibe. There's these sketchy random people always lurking around because Circus Circus is for kids. I've never been a big advocate for parents bringing their kids to Vegas, but that's what Circus Circus is for, those parents who have to bring their kids to Vegas, because they do have the Adventure Dome there, so there's something for kids to do, and even some adults might like hanging around at the Adventure Dome. If it was up to me, I would separate the Adventure Dome completely, make it its own place, not even have it anyway affiliated with Circus Circus, and just demolish the whole building. But I did a room tour at Circus Circus, and when I first walked in the room, I looked at this space and I was like, oh, the space doesn't feel bad. Then I looked around and realized that the closet, the soaking tub, shower combo, the wood all through the room, it was just old. But the worst part of it all was when I went to go check out the view, and I looked out the view and I had bars outside of my window, and I instantly was like, okay, so I guess I'm in a room that's in prison. Did the video, left Circus Circus, have not been back in the property ever since. Doesn't feel like Vegas, it feels like some old motel, and this is definitely a hotel that I would tell people to stay away from. But as crazy as it may sound, Circus Circus is not the worst hotel in Vegas, although it looks like it and feels like it. So let's go ahead and move on up to the third worst hotel in Las Vegas. All right, at the number 3 spot, I have the Rio Hotel and Casino. Now, honestly had to go back and forth because I try to be as unbiased as possible on this channel because Circus Circus and Rio are both terrible, but I had to figure out which one was worse. And after my recent video that I did for my birthday vlog, it was no question that Rio was just terrible. Now, if you haven't seen my recent birthday video, I'll put a pop-up card, but what I decided to do was to go to all of the Caesars properties in Vegas, and the only Caesars property that's not on the strip is the Rio. So I decided to start there first so I could just go ahead and get them out of the way, and I'm glad I did. And as soon as I walked into the property, I instantly realized why I hadn't been back in this property in over 4 years, because there's nothing here. As soon as I walked in, it just felt like I was walking into an abandoned building. There was a bar in the middle, so at least I could get straight to the bar and get my video done and get out of there. But once I took the shot and I got out of there, I started walking toward the Masquerade Tower so that I could go to get my lift. And it felt like I was walking into a prohibited employee staff area. The second half of that casino where there are slot machines and there were table games, but it's just mainly slots now. No one's back there. They're not on, they're not operated. It's dark. It feels like a ghost town. I was honestly waiting for somebody to pop out of a corner and be like, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be back here. You need to go back that way. This is a private area. That's how bad the Rio is. I know that Rio was recently bought out and they're now under new management and they're supposed to be doing renovations, but they haven't done any renovations to now. And when we talk about rooms, the big side that a lot of people loved about Rio is that it's an all-suite hotel, so that even the basic suite that you got was a good space, but it's still old. Old shower tub combos, dated like the 1995 era, and there's no telling what you might find in the carpets, what you might see on the tables. The hotel is just terrible. There's a reason that people get these prices so low no matter what's going on in Vegas. The president himself could be going to Vegas and the Rio still might be one of the cheapest hotels in the strip area because it's just terrible. They used to be good back in the day. The World Series of Poker used to be there. They had the Carnival Bar, which was an amazing place to get food. Voodoo Nightclub was there. That was a cool spot to hang out. So there used to be some type of life, but now it just feels completely abandoned and it feels like it's just flatline. So if you're going to Vegas, you're staying at the Rio, I wish you the best. But if you come and ask me, I'd say put a little bit more money and stay at one of the properties on the strip, because not only do you have to commute back and forth to the strip, you're not going to feel like you're in a fun Vegas environment staying at the Rio. But this is hotel number 3. Let's go ahead and move up to the second worst hotel in Las Vegas. Now I know at the number 2 spot, my comment section is probably going to blow up if you're watching the video to this point, because the second worst hotel that I have in Las Vegas is Excalibur. If you've been around this channel, you know this is one hotel I just do not like at all. I am not a fan of. I'm going to explain why in this segment of the video. And I know you're like, there's no way there's a hotel. You always say Excalibur is the worst hotel. That's why I said I got to make these videos unbiased. The number 1 hotel will make a lot of sense. But when it comes to the hotels on the strip and the hotels with the big major awards programs, the MGM, the Caesars, the Grazies, all of the major awards programs, this by far is the worst hotel. And I would not ever advocate anyone to stay at Excalibur unless you just feel like you want to and it's just the only hotel in your budget and you have to stay on the strip. Excalibur is so old, it's so dated, it's just disgusting. Of all of the themed hotels between them and Circus Circus, this might be the worst one. You look at those castles from the outside and you're like, oh, it's castle. I'm just waiting for one big heavy dust storm or one big wind storm to knock off one of the tops of those castles, and then everyone be like, wow, this hotel really is so dated. It looked like you still walking in the 1800 when you walk around this property. And I don't even like walking into this property because as soon as you go into the hotel, it smells like Newports and Marble Lights came together with their own fragrance and say they will call it the Excalibur fragrance. It smells horrendous inside of the property. Once you get into your room, just hope it's something good, positive to celebrate. The beds are not comfortable. The bathrooms are so dated. I guess to their credit, you could say they have walk-in showers, but I myself might prefer to just have a shower tub combo than to walk into the walk-in shower in these rooms at Excalibur, because there's no telling what might be in the tiling, if it's gonna crack, if the water pressure will even come out properly. Hopefully there's no stains on the floor. I've seen so many scuff marks between the different rooms in Excalibur. I've done multiple rooms at Excalibur over the years, and it's 2022 and the rooms still look exactly the same as they did back in 2017, and they still feel the same, if not worse today. There's nothing that could get me to stay at Excalibur, and I would highly recommend, if you're planning to go to Las Vegas and you've got Excalibur on your radar, if you've got to work an extra shift, stay somewhere else. And just like I said with Tropicana, go right next door and stay in New York, or go on the other side and stay at MGM Grand. Or you can go to the other side and stay at Luxor, but do not stay at Excalibur. And as crazy as this may sound, let's talk about the hotel that is the absolute worst hotel in Las Vegas. Now at the number one spot in the worst hotel in Las Vegas and in the Las Vegas vicinity is Oyo Hotel and Casino. I didn't realize until recent that people still actually talk about staying at Oyo Hotel, or that it's on a lot of people's radar, until I realized we were talking about hotels and casinos in Vegas or near the Vegas Strip for a cheap price. And if you don't know about Oyo, Oyo was originally the Hooters Hotel. And I don't know the reason for why the name changed over to Oyo, but if I had to make a guess, Hooters was so embarrassed by how pathetic this hotel was, how terrible this hotel was, how trash this hotel was. They were just like, we can't have our name branded to a hotel this pathetic anymore. That would just be my guess. Obviously, I don't know. I don't own the property, but that would be my guess. Now, before I go into how horrendous and how despicable of a hotel this is to even be in Las Vegas and to have people wasting their money here, I will say there will be a special place in my heart for this particular property, because if you haven't seen my video or heard me talk about how all of this started for me, I was actually staying at Hooters for a week. And I was coming back out from a night out partying when I met a local, and we were just having a conversation on my way back to the hotel. He actually was the one who told me to kind of look into the Vegas scene, look in hotels, and then that's how I actually got this channel and came up with the Vegas Paradise and the business and all of that. So as I got done talking with this local and I was walking back up to Hooters, I had two guys outside of the property who were trying to sell me some illegal substances. And after I told them I wasn't interested, wanted to step in front of me and start asking me questions like they wanted to try to rob me. They got out of my way. It's a dark area before you got up to the walkway of Hooters, but Oyo now is still the same. Now, let me explain to you all how bad this hotel is. As soon as I walked through the doors, I instantly regretted spending the money to stay here. It was non-refundable, so there was no choice but to stay here at this point. The front desk staff, they were cool. They checked us in. They were really nice people. But as we started walking through the casino looked dirty. And then we got to the elevator. I almost thought we were gonna get stuck on the elevator because we got to our floor and it had a little rumble before we got off. So we both were a little nervous. And this was when we just checked in. And then we get into the room, and I walked in the room and I basically was like, oh, I guess we're staying at the Motel 6 for the weekend, which is funny because if you actually look on the map, if you're at Oyo, to the left of Oyo is a Motel 6 and a Travel Lodge. And if you ask me, Oyo is just as equivalent to the Motel 6 and the Travel Lodge. The only difference between the three is that Oyo has a casino. The best thing about this property was Hooters, the restaurant. It was the best thing about the property. The room was so old, it was so dated, the AC was terrible. Our view was at the top of the building. The bathroom was filthy. I've looked at the recent updates that they've done to the rooms, and guess what they did? Nothing. All they did was they got some paint and a bucket and they painted over the headboard, threw a fresh coat of paint up on the walls, and updated the TV a little bit. That's it. The room still got stains, still got carpets. I've seen recent reviews of Oyo, and I looked at it and laughed, and I said, it looks just like my room when I was there in 2011. The pool area, the casino, there's just nothing positive about this hotel. And I believe in my Patreon stream not too long ago, we were joking around and somebody asked me what I actually consider staying at Oyo over Excalibur. And I think I was drinking at the time, and I was like, I might stay at Oyo and just walk over. But being in all seriousness, you couldn't pay me to stay here. I would not stay at this hotel at all. I feel the same way about Excalibur. But if I had literally a life or death situation, I would choose Excalibur over Oyo, because Oyo is just horrible. It's literally the equivalent of staying at a motel. You just have a casino. If you're going to Las Vegas and you're being budget conscious, these are the 5 worst hotels in Las Vegas. If you're a Vegas expert, or if you're someone who travels to Vegas frequently and you think there's a hotel that should have been this top 5 worst list, comment below and let me know what your thoughts are and what that hotel is. Or if you think some of these hotels should have been rearranged, let me know. Because I will say the 4 and 3 spot between Circus Circus and Rio, I was going back and forth with that for a minute, but recent trips just confirm Rio is just terrible. But Excalibur is worse than them all. But I'd be lying if I said Oyo is not the worst hotel on the Las Vegas Strip and in the Las Vegas vicinity. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you all enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, thanks for watching.